Nice napkin.
So classy around here.
So classy.
Well,
Ready?
you have no choice. Okay, hey. Power. We're French pressing this shit, man.
All right, let's do it.
And
Just
that's a good feeling, huh?
yeah, I feel refreshed already.
Yeah, man. So, Esther, what are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking French pressed Colombian coffee.
Why are you so shy?
Uh,
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are we ready to start talking and coffeeing?
Yeah, no, we're ready. I'm just like a little bit, out of sorts this morning. There's some bad news, so I'm just kind of like I want to be like upbeat like we normally are, but I just found out that Kobe Bryant died, so I'm kind of like in a weird space.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I guess we gotta so right now it's like noon and we're in Inglewood, California, and we just found out maybe half an hour ago that Kobe Bryant died. I'm sure everyone watching this they're gonna actually know more
By the time
this comes out.
Yeah.
But right now the only news that's out, Kobe Bryant has died in a helicopter crash in Northern California.
No, Calabasas.
Calabasas.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Southern California.
Oh, sorry.
It's just like above Malibu.
Yeah, it's
okay.
in LA County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks like, and they said 4 other people right now also perished, no survivors. And yeah, that's just
Yeah, so some terrible news to start the day with. It's especially being in Los Angeles, and I know we're all three of us. Well, I know you're not a transplant. You grew up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know we're transplants, but it does feel. It certainly feels bad for the city. It's like being in Los Angeles, being in this area, and just knowing we're gonna walk the streets and just feel like that sadness. Like I feel like that same sort of that like kind of pit in my stomach feeling when Nipsey Hussle was killed last year, where like the whole city is in mourning.
yeah, yeah. It's weird to it's weird because I'm not from LA. I came here about 12 years ago, and I'm a big Rockets fan. So actually, Kobe was like an enemy, in the sporting sense. Yeah, but when I heard it, I was like, oh, like this is like that's just. It just sucks. I mean, it just sucks, and it's a tragedy. And I think we have 4 daughters.
Yeah, 41 years old.
41. I'm older than Kobe Bryant. It's like that's how. Yeah, I mean, it's young.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put into words.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I actually don't know how to.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird because I was like, I want to talk about the fight cards and stuff like that, but at the same time, I'm like, fighting seems less important when someone dies.
Yeah.
But it's still a world of sports, so it's like, I don't know. And the forum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Forum.
that's how we're just
Yeah.
formed. Yeah.
Like Laker history.
Yeah, the old home of the Lakers, so the Great Western Forum.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, we said we usually it's like, oh, crazy fights, what a knockout. And then literally right before we're about to press record, man, so yeah, that just sucks, and just everyone hug your loved ones. And, this ride can end any time.
Life is a precious thing. Appreciate every second of it.
Indeed.
So I guess the only thing we can do is just go ahead and do what we originally came to do, and that's talk about fights. And we did have some fun times last night in the forum. So Chris Cyborg is now, I think, the first person to have of either gender, which I think is very notable to mention, to have a major title in 4 different promotions.
Yeah.
That's huge, man.
Were you literally there for every single one? Did you photograph witness every single? So the strike.
When did she win? She won
Strike
the
Force
title?
was when she beat Gina, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you shot that.
Uh-huh.
Invicta, and she beat who? She beat
Was that
Marloes.
Conan?
Marloes.
She beat Marloes. You were there for that one. And then
Tanya Evinger at UFC 214. I know you were there for that one.
And then last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there at every single one.
Holy crap.
That's big.
So since you were actually the only person at all four, I was at 3 of the 4, which felt, I don't know, what felt the biggest? What felt most unique? What was your impression of all four of them?
You know, it's funny, like, even though the UFC is, like, the biggest organization.
That one felt the smallest. That one felt like the least significant.
Right, it felt like the least significant because her against Gina was the first time women were being main evented on
broadcast television.
Yeah, broadcast television. So it was like, there was that. And it was just massive. And I'm going to interrupt really quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry. These are stroopwafels from Marloes Koenen, actually.
Oh, wow. All right.
She brought them from the Netherlands.
So these are fresh from the Netherlands. Real shit. So what do we usually do? We put them like over top of our coffee?
Yeah.
Usually we do a tea normally, but...
no, coffee or
tea.
tea.
All right.
And you can kind of put it there to keep your coffee warm. And it kind of warms up your cup.
Nice.
And then dip it in. Anyway, Marloes, also another pioneer. But yeah, so Strikeforce felt huge because it was like the first time. And then Invicta also felt, it was smaller event, obviously, but it felt intimate because it was an all-women's organization. So it had that kind of like...
That was also like prime Invicta.
Right.
And
it was the first time someone had opened up the featherweight division for her.
It was like a rogue feel to the Invicta title win. It just, because they were doing something that was counterculture to a counterculture.
Yeah.
So I think that's a notable thing as well.
Yeah, and I think when she fought Gina it was at 140, right?
No.
No?
Well, either way.
Either way, I just feel like I remember when in Invicta, one of the big things that Shannon really pushed was that she wanted to make sure that everyone got to fight at their proper weight class. Mm-hmm. So she opened a lot of weight classes, like it's atomweight all the way through featherweight. Even there are lightweight fights, and it's just like I remember Cyborg forever was just having the hardest time finding competition. So it was kind of the first time people started finding like other featherweights to fight. Then the UFC, of course, was big because it was the UFC, but
she was fighting Tanya Evinger, who was a career bantamweight.
Bantamweight, and it came off the weird, because it should have been Jermaine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it should have never been Jermaine. It should have been Cyborg originally for the inaugural 45 belt, but then we had that silly Holly Jermaine fight, which I'm not going to discuss. That was like, and then of course Jermaine getting stripped. And then Cyborg fighting ridiculous fights at 140 for absolutely zero reason.
Right.
Just depleting.
With like
himself.
Zero stakes.
Yeah. Zero stakes, just to like, hey, let's see if she dies during weigh-ins. And so when she actually won the belt from Tanya, it was just, all right, good. Like now we're just, can we finally get this ships, selling right?
I'll say for me I was at 214. That was my first credentialed event. So it felt big for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm covering a UFC event. Oh, this is fantastic. And I'm seeing a legend in the sport compete 30 feet away from me. So that was dope. But it felt like a foregone conclusion.
Right.
It was like, oh yeah, Tanya Evinger probably should have been in the UFC before. Yeah. But she definitely shouldn't have been in a featherweight fight. She definitely shouldn't have been in there against Cyborg in a featherweight title fight. So it had this air of inevitability, but for the wrong reasons when Cyborg won that belt. So like last night felt pretty damn cool.
Yeah, last night
felt big,
great.
Right? It felt big.
The crowd was cheering for her.
Both ways.
Actually, both, because Julie had a huge contingent of fans there. And this is the first time you really felt like she was truly fighting another featherweight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like,
and who was a great featherweight. So.
Yeah, not someone. Well, we got a 35er in there. Just don't cut weight. Just because we need a main event.
Go ahead, eat a pizza, and just and jump in there. It felt like an actual weight class fighting. Fighting one another. It made a lot more sense. And seeing like Julia. I wouldn't say she towered over her necessarily in the face-offs, but she was bigger. Mm-hmm. She definitely was bigger, and that's something that we just don't see very often with Cyborg. Like we normally see Cyborg just hulking over whoever she's in front of, and it was almost refreshing to see it the other way around. But then also, I think it was a reminder of how good she really is, because you can previously link a lot of her wins to just being bigger and bullying. Like you think about the Jan Finney fight, where it was just she's just throwing her around like a rag doll. You think of even like the Leslie Smith fight, where it's just like, okay, as tough as Leslie is, like she just can't overcome that size.
Yeah, Leslie fought at flyweight at one point.
Yeah, it's just nuts that some of these fights were made. But then you see her against Julia Budd, where she can't just purely bully her, where bullying can't be the number one thing she does. And then she's like, oh, she's going to outwork her with technique and outwork her with strategy and game plan. It was, I think that was a complete performance.
And patience.
Yes.
Which is like maybe the single biggest improvement throughout Cyborg's run.
Yeah.
Just patience.
Because for that Nunes fight, I mean, she just kind of ran right at her. You know, that got so aggressive so quickly, and you could tell that she had learned from that experience. And even when actually a couple times when Julia hit her, like got her, she would like back out and be like, okay, let me restart this.
No.
So, because Julia landed some really good punches and elbows whenever they were clinched up and stuff like that. But
a couple good teep kicks she snuck in there as well.
Yeah.
Like Julia definitely, she got her licks in, but it was just amazing to see. Like, you forget, like Cyborg has bulldozed through so many people, and you just forget that she's really a technically very sound fighter. You know, for her to even get a takedown against Bud and really work some decent top control.
Yep.
It was just the exact opposite what a lot of people would expect from the stereotypical Cyborg fight.
Yeah, and what put Julia down was a body shot.
Yes. That was like the perfect like post Jason Perillo performance for Cyborg, and I think that was, for me coming into it, that was the way I kept framing it. It's like, is it pre Jason Perillo Cyborg or post Jason Perillo Cyborg? Because we saw pre Perillo Cyborg against Nunes just rushing in chin first and just ready to bang, but we saw Cyborg being very disciplined and patient and measured. And then you saw like the momentum just started shifting, and that first round was a little dicey. I think they both held their own very, very nice on that first round. But then as each round progressed, it was just Cyborg just taking over just a little bit more, a little bit more, and then right when she knew she was hurt, just
then it turned into classic Cyborg.
Then it was Tekken.
Oh my! I actually lost counts. I couldn't keep enough. I couldn't count fast enough. But that finishing combo, I counted 34 strikes. Not unanswered, but some were blocked. But she threw 34 punches and kicks and knees
in succession.
With I think Bud maybe going like every once in a while trying to like let me punch my way out. Nope, not working. I watched. I was like, that looks just so incredibly scary at that moment, and it's just. But man, just vintage Cyborg and an improved Cyborg at the same time. It's like, I think it was just like an absolute home run by Bellator and Cyborg. Then like a perfect game for Cyborg too. Just I can't think of a better way, because if she wouldn't have came out and just one punched her and like I don't know something. The fact that it got drawn out and really you can,
and that the first round was very even.
First round was close.
Actually, I was shooting from the blue corner, like that they were next to me, and I could hear Cyborg's corner.
Cyborg's corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cyborg's corner, just in the first round and in the second round, constantly yelling, "You have time! You have time!" Just reminding her she can slow down, she can pick her shots. Just constantly, just like slow down, slow down, slow down. Each time she wanted to go forward, they calmed her down immediately, and she was really, really patient. And a patient Cyborg is very dangerous. That's
a very scary thing. It's a very scary thing, and I'm so happy for Cyborg to get a win like this, the way it played out. Because like, let's take it back to last week. I think last week with Connor and Cowboy,
right,
where Connor went out there and floored Cowboy so fast that the narrative doesn't always revolve around how good Connor is, but what sort of Cowboy were we looking at? And we don't have that argument with this fight at all. Like Cyborg established dominance, but like sustained dominance, and not just like some quick flash KO.
And Julia Budd wasn't knocked out a couple weeks ago, or knocked out. Didn't have her nose broken, smashed in just 6 months ago. You know,
she was
fresh.
8 years undefeated.
8 years undefeated,
and 3 title defenses under her belt. Like that. That's
like this felt like
her last loss was to Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, her last loss was to Ronda Rousey. Yeah,
and before that, Nunes.
Yeah.
Like she's only lost to goats.
Yes. This is prime Julia Budd, healthy, everything ready to go, and she got it, man. I was just like, what were your expectations coming into this fight? What did you predict before the fight started?
I kind of thought it would play out sort of like this. I thought Cyborg would eventually get a KO finish because Bud's best hope to win that fight would be one of 2 ways. Either one, force the ground and like just heavy wrestling and try to wear her out. Well, she did try in that first round and to varying levels of success during that. Or the other alternative is use her long legs and play the reach and maybe try to pick her apart. But I just thought Cyborg is too sophisticated of a striker, too explosive for that to work. And then, if you want to bully her and try to out wrestle her and stuff like, well, she's a pretty damn good grappler. So that's a lot easier said than done. So it seemed like her path to victory would just expose her to too much danger. And then eventually Cyborg would take over. I thought that she would definitely, maybe a little bit of the superstition in the play because she did lose to Amanda Nunes at the Forum. And maybe her walking back in that building again, she'd say, maybe I need to keep my chin down and not just run straight at her. She would play the intelligence on that end. So it played out kind of the way I thought, but Cyborg was even more dominant than I expected because she went offensive with some of the grappling, because there were times where, granted that wasn't her main game plan, but she still was able to bully the bigger person in the clinch. And that was the spot that we thought Bud would be the strongest. So, I couldn't have been any more impressed by what she did.
Yeah, because, when we were kind of comparing them and trying to see, like, Cyborg, I would give the edge in striking, just in straight grappling, that kind of stuff. But for sure, in the clinch and the wrestling, I would have thought that Bud would have had the advantage. But Cyborg actually just showed that she was just a little better in every area.
And as the fight went on, the gap got bigger.
Yeah. You can feel kind of Bud's hope almost just slowly wearing away, and you start seeing a little more desperation in things that she was doing. Yeah.
The other reason why this is significant, in terms of just she's fought in all these organizations and all this stuff, but that first title fight was 3-minute rounds.
Oh, against Gina? That was on 3 minutes? That craziness was only 3 minutes.
Didn't even remember. Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I remember Coker saying this week, he was like, he thought that Cyborg was the best because she's managed to kind of like, people thought that her aggression was really only good for that particular like short, fast round, but she's kind of, progressed through the longer rounds. And at the back in the day, that most commissions didn't let women fight more than 3 minutes a round. So
let's talk about that. Before we talk about that, how's your coffee, sir?
I'm good.
How do you like the Stroop waffle? Fresh from...
Oh, that waffle is dope.
Did you put it on top of your coffee?
Yes, I did.
It got a little warm. Yeah. Like the edges are kind of kind of stiff, and then the inside's a little...
Man, I came here to talk about people getting hit in the face for money, and I'm out here getting cultured, man.
We getting cultured and fat.
I'm all sophisticated. Put my pinky up when I drink this coffee.
Hello.
Yeah.
Some Japanese ceramics, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, let's before we talk about the rest of the Bellator card, which has some fantastic fights. Is Cyborg the GOAT? I believe what Coker says is about longevity.
She has been super consistent.
Yeah, longevity, and that's why I can't give it to Amanda Nunes. It's like I think Amanda Nunes right now, like this day, is the best female fighter, maybe ever. I'm not 100% behind that, but I think she's the best female fighter right now on the planet. But she's obviously been inconsistent in her career.
Yeah.
Cyborg has not. So that's why I still.
Cyborg's been has been on top, besides her loss last year, since what, 2008.
I mean, regardless of depth in the division, I don't care, man. That's just like
she beat pretty much everybody they put in front of her. Like that's all you can do.
And beating is an understatement. It was just demolishing. Yeah, it's like
It's funny because people are like, oh, she crushed a lot of cans and all this stuff. It's not that. It's that people didn't want to fight her, but the impressive part is she fought these lesser opponents and destroyed them the way that a top fighter would.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll see like someone come up and like someone who's very dominant fight, a no-name, and they might go the full 5 rounds or whatever and be like, oh, you weren't that good or whatever. It's like, but Cyborg has been consistent and it's always destroyed her opponents.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she's never fallen into that trap where, like, I think one of the knocks on John Fitch or something was like you play to your competition sort of thing. Like she's never done it. She's approached everyone exactly the same and given them the same amount of respect, which usually leaves them unconscious.
Yeah.
So
actually one of my favorite Cyborg fights or moments is I forget the girl's name. It wasn't one of
Daria
her most
Rajamova.
Yeah, and Cyborg at that point was just demolishing people in Invicta. And so she fought this girl, and she was kind of grappling of her and everything. And you could kind of tell Cyborg kind of wanted this fight to go a little longer.
She wanted rounds, yeah.
So, but toward the end of the first round, the girl, I think Cyborg threw a kick. It ripped off her toenail.
Cyborg ripped off her own toenail.
Throwing a kick. She looks down, and she's like, what the hell?
Her
and then she just beats the crap out of this girl and just like finishes like in 10 seconds. She's like, nope. It just demolishes this poor lady. And I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, it's going to go to second round.
Yeah, because Daria had been holding on to her for like 4 minutes.
Grabbing that leg, which is how a lot of fighters in the past even made it the distance, just by just holding that leg and just praying, and Cyborg, doing a little hammer fist, but just these girls were tough enough. But when Cyborg saw her nice toenail ripped off, it's just, nope, I'm like, this lady's done.
Yeah, man, the work day's over. Time to clock out, so yeah.
So what do you feel? I mean, do you believe Cyborg is the GOAT?
I see.
Or does it matter? Is it just a stupid conversation?
It's a stupid conversation, but I enjoy having it. And
welcome to Coffee Talk. A stupid conversation we enjoy having. That's
MMA.
That's all of MMA. Like it's so subjective, and I think if you were to make a case for a 1A and 1B. This seems like a good idea. I think if maybe like John Jones, Daniel Cormier, those conversations, GSP Anderson Silva. There were certain people where they've done what they've done at the same time, and maybe they've gone head to head, maybe not. But there's so many other factors to play in it because and similar to the Jones Cormier thing, for Nunes, she doesn't have any PED question marks around her. So if you want to factor that into GOAT status. In head-to-head competition, she's beaten Cyborg. Granted, I think if you rematch them, it might be a little different, but from the sample size that we saw of those two, paired up against each other, Nunes is going to win. So it's hard to take away the head-to-head factor, but the longevity is undeniable. Like 10 years or 12 years, that's a massive amount of time in MMA.
We can talk about Cyborg for a while.
Yeah. Are we ever gonna one quickly, are we ever gonna get to see a rematch between her and Nunes?
Nope.
Unless Nunes decides to retire.
Yeah.
And then I guess her contract expires or something like that, and Scott Coker picks up the phone and because Nunes came up under Strikeforce as well, so she's got a relationship with Coker. So if she answers that phone call, I can see it, but
I don't think we're gonna see it in their primes.
No. It's gonna be like a Chuck Tito 3 feel to it if it does happen.
Yeah. That'd be kind of weird.
I'd watch the documentary.
Yeah. 49-year-old Cyborg coming out, and it's just no. But actually, I was why does the UFC have a 45 division? A women's 45 division?
Like,
just why? Is it just? It seems that just out of spite now.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, I think it's this insistence on being number one with everything. So we gotta have, but you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah,
you're not even trying.
Just let all those women outside of Nunes, just release them and let Bellator have them. Because then I would love to see Felicia Spencer fight more. I would love to see Megan Anderson fight more. If fights that matter and that makes sense, and seem like the fight's gonna happen because.
Just fill out the division a little more.
Yeah.
Well, it should just go to one org. Just because there's not quite enough. And even on the UFC rankings page,
there's no rankings.
Every single category has rankings except featherweight.
Yeah, and it's just a picture of Nunes.
Yeah.
Like this it's silly. Like I would love to see Spencer versus Bud. Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for that.
The fight I really want to see is Spencer versus. She has to win her fight, but I want to see Spencer Nunes. I think that I think that is a very tough fight for Amanda Nunes. Because if Amanda Nunes has shown any weakness throughout her whole career is by strong grapplers putting her on her back. And because that mean coming into the Nunes Cyborg, that's how I thought the fight was going to go. I thought
Cyborg was going to actually grapple.
Fight smart, fight smart, clinch up, be stronger, take her down, and put her on her back, and we'll see where it goes from there. But obviously, it didn't go that way. But I personally don't think the UFC will ever have Nunes fight at 45 again. Because right now, Dana can just say forever, well, we knocked her out. She got knocked out by this chick, and she's a 35er. So I think and they, the UFC loves bragging rights, and I think they kind of have this right now, even though it might not really mean anything competitively, but just from a troll point of view,
and I think that it makes more sense for them just to leave it at that. You're right. Yeah. Then they get to have the upper hand. They get to have the end, the period on that story.
Yeah.
So.
The co-main event.
Yes.
Darren Caldwell versus Adam Borch in the second round of Bellator's Featherweight Grand Prix. Coming into it, what did you think was going to happen?
Coming into it, I thought we were going to see another flying knee from Borch. Caldwell typically does the same sort of thing. He doesn't vary his setups very much, and you know exactly what you're going to get with him. The problem with knowing exactly what you're going to get from him is that the one who has made a pattern out of timing those takedowns to knee your head off into the rafters, you don't really. It's a dangerous day. Yeah. Very, very dangerous day. So I thought that's what was going to happen, or at the very least, like Borks will be able to threaten it enough to where Caldwell would have to alter his game plan on the fly, and Borks kind of just take it over from there. But Caldwell did what he normally doesn't do, and that's fight aggressively, and that's be more of a striker, keep coming forward, and then mix in the takedown, and got the quick submission too. Caldwell putting on performances like that reaffirms my initial thoughts when those brackets were laid out that he is the dark horse in this tournament.
Yeah, Caldwell at 45 has been
just not as dominant.
No, progressively better.
You think
at
so?
45? Yeah, he wasn't as dominant, I guess, in his last fight, in his first tournament bout, but he just needed to win at that point. I think he was still adjusting to changing camps as well. So that's what I think. And for this one, actually, you were saying about someone's making a career out of just like studying tape and timing you out. Like that actually makes it really hard in the sense that if Caldwell decided this is the fight I'm going to be slightly different, it's like, oh, but I've watched all of his tape, or Adam Borch is like, his coaches have been studying Caldwell, and then Caldwell doesn't do anything that he normally does. But the fact that he has that, there's always that threat of the takedown is always going to be, it's going to put him in a higher position.
Yeah, he
I think we kind of forgot how good Caldwell is because we had the Horiguchi fights in our head.
Yeah.
And that was
it was at bantamweight, and he was exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, but remember how dominant Caldwell was before?
Yeah.
Horiguchi? Like he was actually, when he did the Borch, he was doing that to like the Higos, to the Dantes, of Bellator. He was super dominant. that's why when he fought Horiguchi, I think Coker is under that same belief. Like, no, we do have the best bantamweight. And I think that's why even Coker is still a bit shell shocked that Caldwell lost twice to him.
Yeah.
And but I thought maybe Caldwell's time was done as far as like the best of the best. Obviously, he's always going to be top level, but. But I was just I thought it was gonna be Borch's coming out party. Dude, I thought it felt that way coming in. It's like, oh, this kid's gonna
especially after the Caldwell's last fight against Henry Corrales. It was just so I mean, it definitely wasn't aesthetically pleasing. So let's just get that out the way. But it just didn't have. You knew exactly what was going to happen, and it just kept happening again, and it just. I didn't see anything new. I didn't see any new wrinkle. I mean, he said after that fight he felt so much better at 145, but you couldn't really tell from the performance.
Yeah.
You know, but I do think the camp switch had a lot to do with him seeming sort of rejuvenated last night. I know when I talked to him leading up to the Corrales fight, that was a major thing for him was the camp switch, and he threw a lot of shade at Alliance for whatever reasons. I'm not quite sure what happened with those relationships, but he threw a lot of shade at that and was saying how much he needed to be back with his old team. I think he's at Pinnacle now, somewhere around here.
Yeah, it's in the residence.
Down here.
So he was so adamant about that, and now I think a lot of times when we see people switch camps, you kind of need to get one under your belt. I mean, we could talk about Aaron Pico about this too. Like, you need to get one under your belt with that camp before things really start gelling. And I think that's what we saw last night was things gelling, and now he feels truly back at home with his old team, and like you said in the post fight, like he felt freer. You feel free. You try things. You do things differently. You get a little more aggressive. You take some chances that you otherwise wouldn't have. I think he keeps that up, man. That AJ McKee fight. Good Lord, have mercy.
I am excited about that fight, man. Oh man, AJ McKee. You know what? If I'm pretty.
That's a little battle for Southern California supremacy right there.
Yeah, man.
I'm pretty sure. I was actually backstage watching that fight with we were working on interviews. So I was right next to John Morgan of MMA Junkie, and right before the fight started, we're kind of like, we both actually picked, we're kind of, who you got? You know, we're like, I think Borch is gonna win. And we're like, but if Caldwell wins, it's gonna be a bad 20. Because remember, it was a 25-minute fight, so I think that was the fear. Like, oh man, if Caldwell does win, it's gonna be a bad 25 minutes we have to sit through, and. God, we were just like so shocked. And if Caldwell would have won in a 25-minute fashion that we thought he was going to win, if he was going to win, like the McKee fight, we wouldn't be that excited. But we're like, oh God, this could be. But now, like, it's amazing how 90 seconds of action just kind of changes your entire view on a fighter.
And it changes it changes the way the tournament looks, the Grand Prix. So.
Yeah, because I think we were all kind of. I want to say we mentioned this to each other during fight week, like. Man, Borgs versus McKee, two undefeated females. Yes, please. And we kind of just
we're like, I want to see that.
Chops at that, like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. But now we didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'd say if Caldwell went out and did what he did against Corrales, we would be excited for that fight, but not for the same reasons. We'd be excited more to see how McKee handles it. And like, okay, how solid is his takedown defense? If you get him down, can you keep him down? What does he look like off of his back? It would have been all these different questions that centered solely around McKee. But now it's like we're excited for both. Like
absolutely.
Like really excited. Like
like that. I mean,
just fanboy for just a second.
Hey, props to Coker and Bellator having McKee right there, having that face off right there. You know, it seems cheesy, like WWE, but I don't know, it works.
It works.
I'm a sucker.
You were feeling it. I was like, ooh, it's like they don't like each other.
You know, actually, I was wondering about his fight against Henry Corrales in the sense that, because Juan Archuleta had you would say like a boring showing against Henry Corrales, and I wonder if that's just how you beat him.
I think it's the only way you. I think it's the only way
because otherwise you get sucked into a brawl.
Yeah.
And you get knocked out.
You get Aaron Pico'd.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you can't just go in there and just swing at Corrales. And even if you try to strike with him in a more measured approach, it's going to be, you have to use footwork. You've got to be elusive. You got, like, Archuleta looked a lot like his teammate TJ Dillashaw in there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to fight that sort of fight because Corrales, if his feet are planted and he's throwing a bomb at you, you're going to explode.
Yeah.
Like,
If you want to trade with Corrales, you're gonna go to sleep. Yeah, that's not.
It's just not smart.
Yeah.
And he's able to still unleash that sort of power and still keep coming at you when he's cracked. Like when we remember back to the Pico fight, Pico
had hurt him real
bad.
bad.
Pico hurt him really bad. Like it was an inevitability that Pico was going to get the finish at that point, and then he wasn't. So you can't ever just rely on, I'm going to knock out Henry Corrales. You better get them skates on.
I was watching the fight, and I was saying, you know what? I think Corrales is probably the pound for pound best fighter when concussed. Give that man some head trauma before the fight. Oh, he will F you up. It's like, he just has, and even Archuleta said that in his pre-fight stuff. It's like, the guy's a zombie. It's like that's when he wakes up, when you hit him. So you just gotta hit him and run.
Yeah, he's kind of got that old that like Stephan Bonner sort of thing to him. Like he's gotta see his own blood or something, and then all of a sudden, let's do this.
I think of Corrales as like the Matt Brown of Bellator.
Yeah,
it was at least like the older Matt Brown, which is like if you interview Corrales, like he kind of just like,
he's the most matter of fact guy.
Fight, train hard. Like what's like we knocked out Pico. Oh, it was cool.
Yeah.
And then I'd say like, okay, nice. Well, have a good luck Saturday. Right?
I'm so glad that y'all have had that same experience with him because I thought like, am I just really a bad interviewer? I don't know what's going on, but
and then after you press stop, he's like, hey, thanks for the interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, man. Like, I thought you were mad at me.
So it's not me.
He's just you can tell you're just a unique dude, and but that's what the sport's full of, unique dudes.
Yeah, it's funny because we brought up to him his post fight interview. After when he did Pico,
the best underrated post fight interview.
Yeah.
What was the line he said?
He says, what is this like? I've lived a mediocre life up to this point. I was ready to die in this bitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then when you ask him about it later, he's like, I said that.
Yeah, and then when he just glossed over like some story about somebody trying to stab him to death. And it was just like he's like, like the time those guys tried to stab me. Next question.
Rewind.
Wait, what?
Tell us about the stabbing.
I have a follow-up.
Excuse me.
Like, we didn't know you were Batman in your spare time. Like, tell us more.
And then, he talks about his teeth. He's like, he has, like, his teeth were, like, just his top two teeth right here and bottom they're gone because when he fought Pitbull. And Pitbull, he just ate a giant knee. And I think he even finished the fight. You think he went 5 rounds with Pitbull, but without, like, his front teeth just, like, going this way. So it's actually interesting. You said it, if you don't say it in interviews, but I think a couple weeks out before every fight, before he goes to the actual fight, he has to take them their screw-ins. He has to go to get implants and everything. Mm-hmm. So, dude. I love Henry Corrales. That's all. Even though he lost, he's one of those guys where Henry Corrales talk. That's what this is.
Well, the crowd was spoiled last night because, and they were booing so quickly at the Archuleta Corrales fight, but they were spoiled because from the very first fight, I think.
What was right before that fight? Sergio Pettis.
Oh yeah, Sergio Pettis.
Holy crap.
Right before that with the crazy. He knocked. How many times did he knock Kashakian out?
Yeah, he submitted a dead body.
Yeah.
Well, how did he get there? Like
the clothesline.
Well, Pettis got dropped. You remember Pettis got hit? He was like wobbling, and the was Alfred Kashakian came in for the kill. And so Pettis like, oh, fuck you.
It's like that clothesline hook just.
I was like, oh my god, and we talked to Pettis backstage. He's like, did that hurt? He's like, yep. He's like, yeah, I felt that, but it's like, but I got strong legs. But he said, his body went out, boom, caught him, and Alfred got a little too anxious, and paid the price.
All right.
Exciting times.
And then before Pettis was Pico? Was he right?
No, dude, that's why we had so much action. Raymond Daniels.
No, Raymond Daniels. Oh my god.
Yeah, there was so much action last night.
So that was so crazy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Jason King ate so many of those body shots.
Spinning kicks
like,
to the
just
body.
over and over. And the thing, they were hurting him so bad, but most of those weren't even landing flush. Like, he was able to get out of the way, a lot of them, and they were just like grazing him to the side, and you could just see him wince every time. Like,
last time when he didn't want to get up, he was like,
yeah, he really thought about that. He sat there and was just like, man, did they pay me enough?
You can tell, like, he was almost sitting on the ground waiting for the ref to go, all right, you're done.
Yeah.
He was like, come on, ref. Like, don't make me look like I'm quitting here. Help me out here. I don't know. That's my sense. Like, and the ref was like, nah, you're going to die.
Yeah, it's like those moments where I think Jason King was on his back thinking like, man, did I pick the right career?
Yeah.
Like that looked like a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Just laying on your back and just seeing the god of spin kicks just annihilate you every time you blink your eyes.
Hey, and then Jason King actually did get Raymond down at one point, and they clinched up and
tried to get him in a leg lock.
Yeah,
he tried to get him in a leg lock, and Raymond Daniels reacted.
Yeah,
right. Did everything proper. Yeah. He apparently Raymond Daniels. I mean, from what he says, he's training with the right people. He had Mark Munoz in his corner. Mm-hmm. He's training with so he's got like high level wrestlers he's working with. He's doing his strength and conditioning with Sam Calavita. Mm-hmm. So he's actually training with like Archuleta and those guys now. So he's I think 37 now. So but he says like, I'm in my prime though. He's ready. So
he looked more ripped than normal.
Yeah.
He's never been a guy who looks like he has a soft body or anything. But I don't ever recall.
But he's also not super vascular.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing him with the veins down his arms and like the 8-pack or whatever. Yeah. But he had the strength and conditioning thing. Look, it definitely looks like he should focus on that end a lot. Mm-hmm. Granted, he was just spamming spin kicks. I know that's very tiring, but he was breathing really hard toward the end of that fight. Like if you put him up against a higher level competition and he's gassing like that, granted, he probably wouldn't attempt those sort of moves against different competition, but yeah, they might want to. He might want to really focus on that part if he's intending on really climbing the ladder. But I don't think he is.
He says he is. I mean, I know people say everything, but
he says he is, but he's also starting pretty late in his career, so he might also just be here to have fun.
Yeah, and he's in the right promotion to just have fun with it. Like, getting a main card placement on a card this big. Mm-hmm. And you're fighting a guy who, quite frankly, no disrespect, was brought in to lose. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say that the promotion is really trying to fast track him to a title shot or anything.
And they shouldn't, because before this fight he was only 1-1. Now he's 2-1. And like a lot of people in the comments of our Instagram page are like, "Oh, he fought a Ken." I was like, he's a 1-1 fighter. Who do you think he should fight?
Who do you want next for Raymond Daniels?
I'm thinking I would like to see him in MVP.
Yeah.
Because that's just sexy. That's just crazy, man.
You just want to see
it's just like a dance.
Yeah.
it's like a scene from The Matrix.
I think that's an awesome fight, but I think Paul Daly.
I'm not mad at that. But I think that's inviting the return of Division I Paul Daly, who tried to grind out MVP, which of course is mixed martial arts fight. That's what can happen. But I don't want to see that, man. I want to see.
So you just don't believe in Paul Daly anymore?
No, I believe in Paul Daly.
No, but
you don't believe in Paul Daly against a striker.
No, I believe in seeing Raymond Daniels and MVP just Shaw Brothers their way through an entire Bellator fight.
I'm into that.
That's all I want to see.
Right.
And honestly, I feel like it's kind of why people like Bellator. It exists, and this is why I like having different organizations, is that there's no more coffee.
No! But these delicious waffles are still available for you.
But there should be different feels. Everyone shouldn't have the same kind of promotional machine,
Of course not.
I like that there's differences, and I like that there's this and every promotion also has this, there are fights you just want to see. Yeah. And this is just a fight you just want to see. I'm just curious. I just want to know what it looks like.
Oh, God. Now we're talking about just fights I want to see. Now the fight we're not going to see is Raymond Daniels versus Michael Pereira.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
UFC welterweight, Mr. Flippy Flip you.
Wow. Yeah.
Now he's just like
Sign me up.
kind of sweating. Good guys, just okay. UFC, you're rich. You won. Now cross promote. Come on.
Yeah, let's borrow this guy.
You won. You won. You get it. You got your PI. Got your Apex. Yeah, you won. You guys are doing great. Congratulations. But now come on. Let's have some fun here.
I had a moment like that where I had a flashback to a fight that I really wanted to see because Kung Lee was in the building.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see Kung Lee versus Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
It has just been one of those fights where it's just chopsocky fun. I'll take it.
Yeah. Just here's a bag of money. Here's a bag of money.
Yeah, it's like,
here,
just do it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that would have been great. I actually,
that is the one. What? I don't know if that's off the table. This is
honestly, well, I mean,
it still could happen.
Yeah, but you never know.
But it won't be in their primes anymore.
Whatever.
But I do appreciate that about. Just because we had been talking about Ryzen a couple weeks ago and how they were really proud that they had this card that didn't have any, freak show fights on it or whatever. I was like, but freak show fights are fun. And it's honestly what people like about MMA is that it has all these weird unknowns. Mm-hmm. But also it's people like MMA because there's this. You can just be like, well, these two guys are just crazy strikers. Let's do it. It doesn't even matter that they're not ranked at the same or whatever. Let's just have this fight happen. And so I think that like Kung Lee, Anderson Silva, like those are things that like these are dream fights because they capture our imagination, mm-hmm. and I want more of that. I would love to see more of that.
Aaron Pico. Good.
I guess he's doing all right for himself these days.
Has there ever been a more kill or be killed fighter?
Yeah, right.
Right now, than Aaron Pico. I mean, like I can't think of a fighter that's either you dead or I'm dead. Who?
Maybe Chris Leydon or something like that?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's like you got to go really far back to think of someone.
Like, I can't imagine either of these guys. I mean, I can't imagine Pico honestly fighting going to the decision without him or the other guy getting slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pico, man, was... First of all, Pico is very difficult for me to talk about Aaron Pico in general without just mentioning how, like, professional and classy that dude is. Mm-hmm. And he's... Despite the fact that he's only, 23?
Yeah, he's 23 now,
yeah. And he's been the toast of the town since he was, like, 18 or something like that. Even younger.
Honestly, since, like, a young teenager.
Because he was beating adults when he was, like...
He was a wrestling phenom. He was actually a golden amateur golden gloves.
Pancration champion and stuff. Like, so he's been the toast of the town for a very, very long time. And he still handles himself with so much class and a lot of humility despite just oozing with confidence. And it's an interesting balance that he has. And it would be understandable to worry about Aaron Pico when you look at what 2019 was like for him. That was a rough year. Mm-hmm. Getting floored in 2 KO of the year candidates. Mm-hmm. Fights that everyone thought he was going to run through somebody.
And to a point he was.
Until he wasn't. Because like we said about the Corrales fight in Borix, he was definitely beating him with the wrestling, and then he went in for that same takedown and
he got
flying knee to death. So the Pico, man, he came in with a lot of focus and so complimentary of his new team at Jackson Wink, and like we were saying earlier, where sometimes it takes that one fight when you're with that new team, and then after that things start gelling. And
so people know for the his last loss against Adam Borch, he was technically with Jackson Wink. He had left what do you call it?
Body Shop,
which is Antonio McKee and AJ McKee, obviously, who he trained with. But he's very limited time for the Adam Borch fight. So this fight was his first real camp.
Yeah.
For this
full camp, and he had moved his horses out to Albuquerque, so he knew it was serious.
Yeah.
Moved his horses.
His girlfriend and his horses.
Yeah, his girlfriend and his horses.
Yeah, the way he described Albuquerque now, where he's saying it's home to him now, and Whittier is definitely where his roots are and stuff, but he feels so at home in Albuquerque, and that's so important too, because can you imagine being the toast of the town at that young age? And you're fighting in your hometown, you're training in your hometown, you're surrounded by all these people that just love and adore you, and have since you were a child.
Driving down the street named after your own grandparents.
Exactly, where like his family has
Yeah.
significant history in the Los Angeles area. So you gotta sometimes remove yourself from that and start anew, and that's seems to be what he's done. And he's talking about how like Brandon Gibson he's particularly gelled with him, and John Jones called him before the fight to offer some words. So things like that where you aren't, and he was on the prelims as well.
Yeah.
Which is just smart. I think a good decision.
Yeah,
by Coker.
kind of dial back the spotlight a little bit and let him be a young man. Let him be a developing fighter.
Yeah, I think the key is to I'm so glad that they started doing this, because it's like, yeah, okay, so he had a lot of hype, but he's still a guy that has less than 10 fights under his belt. Can we not keep putting him against people who are undefeated, 11-0, whatever? Like, let's
10. What was he? 4-3. I think he was 4-3, and he had less than 10 minutes of actual cage time.
Yeah. Now you're finally gonna start to see, because everybody needs to improve in their field, right? Like him being a standout wrestler, it doesn't mean he's gonna be an amazing MMA fighter, and he should have been incrementally brought up.
Right.
I think he should have been, but I get they were going for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Because he was so highly paid and he was so touted. Like they were like, we're just gonna throw you in there, and it's like, and his pride maybe was like, sure,
because
I got it.
he's an extremely confident guy, and that confidence is well founded. I mean, since he was like 12, he's been beating people in international competition in mixed rules disciplines. Like it's like to be a highly touted prospect in wrestling and to be courted by the USA Wrestling, Olympic whatever they're called. He's being courted by them, while he's also one of the hottest prospects in boxing and being courted by that world, famously training with Freddie Roach at Wildcard. And then also actually competing in pancration, which is essentially MMA, and he's winning competitions overseas. And that, like, yeah, man, like that's not your average, amateur. That's not your average prospect. That's a seasoned competitor at that point. So it makes sense that they pump the gas a little bit on him. But then of course you add the brighter lights of a debut in Madison Square Garden, and a homecoming fight in Inglewood, with Fedor on the main event. Like there are a lot of things that that level of competition can't quite prepare you for. Yeah. And with his mentality, you need someone to kind of hold you back a little bit. Yeah. You need someone to put the brakes on and be like, hey, like I know you're capable of this. Yeah. But let's ease your way into it and make sure you're totally ready.
Yeah. And lastly, I thought that AJ Agazarm was impressive in his comeback win, because he looked like trash in that first round, and then he got piece of like. That was such a crazy round. I mean, that's an early fight round of the year candidate right there. Because I think right after it, I said something stupid on Twitter. I was like, can we score 10-8 rounds for both guys? Yeah. It's like they both just murdered each other. Yeah. And surprisingly, because the nature of Adele's Tamima's success in that, you would think it would carry over more into the later rounds. Yeah. To when you damn near knock a guy out with a variety of strikes, you figure like, okay, that concussive damage will last a little bit longer than getting caught in a choke toward the end of the round. But AJ, man, he did the damn thing. I don't.
He proved to me. He proved he's a fighter. Mm-hmm. Yes. He's not a jiu-jitsu guy doing MMA. He's a fighter. Yeah. Yeah. That was impressive. You can't fake that. You can't do that in the gym. It can only happen on fight night in front of the cameras, in front of the crowd, under the lights. Yeah. To prove you're really, a fighter.
And what a progression too from his. And he showed a lot of progress in his last fight. I can't remember who he was fighting in that last one, but his debut fight, which was also at the Forum. Yep. In fact, I think the second fight was at the Forum also. Yeah. Yeah. He spends a lot of time there. So his debut fight. I mean, he got outstruck by kind of amateur striking. Yeah. It was nothing too flashy. It was nothing too sophisticated. He just looked kind of shell shocked. He didn't know what to do, so he started taunting and doing everything but actually fighting. Yes. And to see him run into a little bit of adversity in his last fight, and respond so well, but then to like damn near get decapitated from Altamimi, and Altamimi just so tricky with a lot of his setups and spin kicks, and he's going spinning back fists, and he's doing a lot of really intricate weird things, and got caught with a lot of it, and he just figured it out. And it was resilient.
And one hell of a submission to finish that fight.
Oh yeah, with the Agar's arm, his choke.
He calls it the Agar's arm. Yeah, the modified triangle, which I looked at it when it was happening. I was like, I don't know what that is. I couldn't tell if it was an armbar. I couldn't tell if it was a triangle. I couldn't tell if it was a bicep slicer. It looked like everything.
I was so annoyed because I didn't have like a good view. I don't have a picture of it, so I was just like, I was looking and all I saw was just limbs, and I was like, I wish I could get a picture of this, but it won't make any sense.
Yeah, he said he's landed that in jiu-jitsu tournaments.
He said landed in Polaris a couple times, I think. But I was so confused about it too, because at that point when it hit the floor and they were in that position, you know, I immediately turned to the big screen, of course, because just sitting case
you can't see that.
It was just a jumble of body parts. But seeing that, I was like, what? Because the arm didn't look strapped in.
Exactly, because it was an armbar originally, then he laces it through, and then it becomes a triangle somehow.
Yeah, and I was like trying to say, so what's cutting off the artery, and what, you know, and then when the tap, which I guess caused some controversy, that he didn't tap, but he did tap.
He did.
From what I saw,
he tapped, and it's fine.
I think it's just the other. He was a black belt, so he was just it sucks when you have to submit, when you have to tap. You know. Yeah. I think he was just
Yeah, I mean, he used to train at a Homolo Baharal, so I'm sure he was feeling like. There were other fights yesterday too.
There were Curtis Melinder. Oh wait, that was Bellator, but
but
that was a great.
That was also great. Curtis Melinder looked great.
Got a good debut. But apparently there's another mixed martial arts promoter who had some fights on the other side of the country.
Yeah, UFC Raleigh happened, and I actually didn't get a chance to watch most of it. I saw the results. The only fight I went back and watched was Angela Hill's fight, because I wanted to see some killer elbows, and then I did.
PG County stand-up, Angela Hill. She got the victory there. Was very happy to see that. I didn't get to watch all this card too. I tried to, and then I woke up with my head slumped in my chest, and my son was crying at whatever ungodly hour it was. So,
thanks for joining us for Coffee Talk this week.
Thanks for having me at the Panda Dojo.
Coffee Talk. Nothing in them. I got a little bit.
I got a little bit of my. But this has been Coffee Talk with Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for joining us.
Where can we find Anthony Walker on the internet?
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter at AntWalkerMMA. It's also my Instagram. I very rarely post, but follow me anyway, just in case I do. And then my YouTube channel, The Walkout Network. Nice. So I post some stuff there. And I got a weekly column now with Kristen King for my MMA news. So, the DMs are open. Come get this work.
All right. And you can follow us on TikTok. We don't have a TikTok.
Yes, we do.
What's TikTok?
Yes, we do, old man.
All right.